Hey, what's going on? It's your boy DMac. It's Altitude After Dark. Waiting for Coach Mike Sanford, Vic Lombardi on assignment, as the great Irv Brown and Joe Williams may say. Got some Thursday night football going on. Jets leading the Patriots 14-3. Got a bunch of reaction from the Broncos from this week, and here for your comments as well. So liking and subscribing and throwing in some comments, man, is always good. So if you want to get down with that, we'd appreciate it. Hold on one second. I'll make sure my guy has an invite as we do what we do. So yeah, what are you thinking about tonight? Where's your head at with these Broncos taking on the Buccaneers? The week that was. Bo Nix getting a little salty with things. Baker Mayfield, $30 million a year quarterback. It's interesting, isn't it? Like Baker Mayfield, the man. There's the coacher. There's my guy. My guy.
Mac.
My guy, brother. It's just you and I tonight.
Oh, this is going to get weird, man.
Really?
Why wouldn't it, man? We don't have like Vic Lombardi to keep us classy today. Is the ultimate class guy.
14. Hey, real quick, I'm sure you're watching the Jets and the Patriots. What are your thoughts there? So
Aaron
far,
Rodgers continues to be the most interesting man in the sporting world.
Yeah.
What in the world happened with him and Robert Saleh after going up 14-0?
Yeah.
Did you see the interaction?
No, I did not. I missed that.
This is the biggest sports story of the week, in my opinion.
Oh, shoot. I missed that. What happened?
This makes like anything that you've tried to create with Prime being drama into like, this is New York City, by the way. This is Aaron Rodgers and Robert Saleh.
How did I miss that? What happened?
14-0. Let me show you a little quick.
All right.
Here we go. Okay, so go right after going up 14-0 after the drive. Here is the sideline interaction right here.
Okay. A little bit the other way. Yeah, I got it.
Here, I'm gonna let it loop again. Hold on.
Oh, you gotta go again. I didn't really. I'm gonna give. Oh, okay. I'm gonna give you a hug. I'm gonna push you. Ooh. Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I'm still convinced, man. Nathaniel Hackett is Aaron Rodgers' guy. That is his guy.
I agree with you on that.
And Robert Saleh has been messing with Aaron Rodgers' guy. He brought in somebody in the offseason to essentially try to usurp the authority of Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah.
And I think there's some inner workings that are playing out in real time.
Oh, wow.
And this is so New York Jets right on brand, man. Like even a team that is probably going to be defaulted a top two, AFC East type of a run because the Dolphins are cooked. The Patriots have proven to be they suck. They're terrible. It's the Bills and the Jets. And yet they're up 14-0 on Thursday Night Football. And Aaron Rodgers is back. He's cooking. He looks good.
He does look good.
And then Robert Saleh, like feeling it, man. He's like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
And
Don't
Aaron
touch
Rodgers
me.
gives him the old shove and the old, like, hey, what's your deal, bro?
Yeah. I have to deal with you. Shut up, coach. You got nothing to do with what's going on. Just shut up.
So just incredibly vintage New York Jets football. Like even when it's right, it's just never right.
All right. Well, that's cool. We'll keep our eyes on it. 14-3 now. They just started the third quarter, so we'll roll with it. And we're here for your comments. If you want to throw it in, can go a lot of different directions here, man. I know you were recording with Romy and my guy Nate Jackson, the View House. You guys actually went a little bit earlier today for whatever reason.
4:15 instead of 5:30. It was nice.
Okay.
Nate Jackson, man. One thing I've learned in this media space, I gave him a hard time about it, so I'm not talking about his back, but man, these former Broncos players, man, they're just a little high maintenance in the media.
Oh, what do you really?
Oh yeah, I mean,
What do you mean?
I mean, I'm 10 to noon, on the Dempsey and Company show. And I'd love to have, I drive from Weld County down south to Lone Tree at the studio for Altitude. Then I drive back And then I have to drive all the way back down to Centennial for the View House CBS taping. But, I'm good, man.
Okay.
Hey, Jackson, snap your fingers. We're going at 4:15.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I said, I'm like, I just kind of learned that these former players, man, they're kind of prima donnas.
It was on Nate's request that it got moved to 4:15.
And just surprisingly enough, and I mean, the request was granted with absolutely zero resistance from the establishment. So,
do you know why he requested that?
Yeah, no, Nate's the man, dude. He's the best.
Yeah, he had another job to do.
Yeah, he's like emceeing some like massive gala.
Yes.
So okay, all right, Nate, I get it.
Oh, you're too funny. Yeah. All right. Well, let me go with the Mel Kiper thing. Let me go with the Mel Kiper thing first, okay? And then we can get to a bunch of Broncos.
This freaking guy, man. This guy.
Don't spoil it. Here we go, Mel.
That's what I want to see brought back to the National Football League. Okay? Check down kings, bubble screen sensations, boring.
I got to set this up. It's about the too high safety stuff. And I'm not including the whole thing because it just goes on and on and on. But at some point, they cut to the guys in the studio, and it's comical to see their expression.
That's what I want to see brought back to the National Football League. Okay? Check down kings, bubble screen sensations, boring football. Game manager, I get it, but I want to see those deep shots. That's what the NFL was built on. I grew up with John Unitas, Fran Tarkington, Ken Stabler, Darryl LaMonica. You talk about quarterbacks, Joe Namath. It was just right. Brett Favre when he was doing what he did. Burt Jones with the Baltimore Colts.
All right, I don't have to play the whole thing. You get it. He wants to ban the too high safety thing, and everybody's looking, like they're bored to tears, and they can't believe what he's saying. And what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know Mel Kiper. I've never met him. Of course, I've respected his work for the last 35 years. But, let's just get with the programs and the times here. Mel Kiper is a guy that comments on the draft, right? He is expected to be the voice of the NFL draft. I was at the Senior Bowl and at the draft. Guess who I never once saw physically at any of those events?
Mel Kiper.
Yeah, absolutely. So you know what? Have your Darryl LaMonica, okay? Because the NFL has moved on. As a coach, I love too high coverage. I got way more options, especially if you're deficient at receiver. Too high is the best thing going for a coach. That's the way you score points. This guy doesn't understand football, man. And you can, if you have too high coverage, you should run the ball till you're blue in the face. You should be able to just pound the football. And then guess what the defensive adjustment is to running the ball against too high? You go to one high. That's just, it doesn't take a lot of research. Hey, Mel, you know what you should do? You should get around the game of football. You should stop living in your ivory tower and staring down at the rest of us and talking about the days of yore. Nostalgia is a bad look in media, in my opinion. Nobody cares about your 1960s quarterbacks. Nobody cares about Bart Starr. He was a great Green Bay Packer in the 60s, but it's 2024, pal. Just study the game. And so, to me, Mel Kiper's takes, they're dead to me. I'll never listen to another Mel Kiper take. As a football guy, he has zero credibility with me.
When one of your comparisons or the point you're trying to make includes Darryl LaMonica, you may be in trouble with that. And listen, I agree with you. And I've always said sports should exist as if it was invented yesterday. And the teams of today, the worst team, the Carolina Panthers, would steamroll the Baltimore Colts Super Bowl champions. The Vince Lombardi's Packers would lose 60-0 to the Carolina Panthers. It would be a joke because things have just improved so rapidly. The rules have changed. Training has changed. I did see an interesting debate with Mike Wilbon and Tony Kornheiser. They're just like, the kickers are too good. And I was having that conversation with my family. We're watching the game. And it's ironic because we were having this conversation. The Jets kicker shanked an easy one. But if you literally look at the scoring in the league, there's been more 50-plus yard field goals made at this time than ever before. They really have improved. Not only are the kickers just much better athletes and they got it figured out, so are the punters. Kicking in the NFL, Mike, has actually gone bananas. And I'm watching the guys warm up before. Well, you were there too, but before the Broncos game, and I'm forgetting the dude's name there for the Steelers, but Boswell. He's freaking nailing 65-yarders with room to spare. I mean, I know it's just warm-ups and everything. And so was Lutz, which makes the Broncos not going for the field goal at the end of the half a little confounding. I mean, he was crushing it from 55 yards too.
The thing that I was least impressed with sitting in my first NFL regular season post game presser, right, was hearing Sean Payton essentially lead with, "We anticipated this being a low scoring game." So you just admitted your guilt that you didn't kick a field goal before halftime when you had 0 points on the board.
Right.
That's asinine. Like, that is asinine. And I'm just telling you, like, there's times in my career as a coach, I've been a head coach, where if I said something like that, I'm like, I'm getting fired tomorrow. I mean, that is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it's a 56-yard field goal, DMac. How many have you seen the stats this year in 2 games on 50+ yard field goal attempts in the National Football League? There's like 2 misses out of, like, I don't know.
And one of those misses, you know who one of those misses is? Justin Tucker.
He's got 2 of them.
Yeah, who's like the greatest, who's going in the Hall of Fame.
Got 2 of them. And his team's 0-2.
The kicking is unbelievably good.
You know what else is getting pretty damn good?
What?
DMac, freaking defensive play. Okay. And so everyone wants to talk about this, blame too high coverage. Too high coverage has been around since my dad was playing college football in 1973 at USC. All right. Too high coverage is not brand new. So Mel Kiper, like, do your research on too high coverage. So defensive players have gotten better. And I say this.
Yeah.
Want to know why? Okay. Where are you getting your defensive players from if you're an NFL franchise? From college football, right?
Sure.
Okay. Who has been the guy that not only his program has infiltrated the National Football League, but the programs of his mentees, meaning Kirby Smart, Dan Lanning, Lane Kiffin, Steve Sarkisian. Who am I talking about?
Bear Bryant. Sorry, who?
Nick Saban. Nick Saban. I call
him. Nick Saban.
I call this entire phenomena going on in pro football. It's because of the Nick Sabanization of college football. What does that mean? Nick Saban is he an offensive guy? No, he's a defensive guy. He cut his teeth as a defensive coordinator in the National Football League. Was an NFL, was an actually defensive coordinator in college football. This guy right here, you want to know what he's done and what his mentees have done? They've taken the best athletes in recruiting, and what side of the football do they put them on?
Put them on the defense.
Yep. Amen.
Aaron Rodgers just hits Garrett Wilson. Pretty nifty pass. The Jets now go up 21-3. It looks like there's a security person around Robert Saleh. He's not allowed to talk to Aaron Rodgers. That's probably a good thing.
Is it really a security guy?
No.
Oh my gosh. Oh, it's going to be fun to watch. It's almost the better the Jets do and the better season that Aaron Rodgers has. I think the animosity towards Robert Saleh from Aaron Rodgers is going to grow even wider.
Well, I mean, you're seeing Nate Hackett having a good time. That's for sure.
Did you hear Kirk Herbstreit earlier in this broadcast?
No, what did he say?
He said the most Dr. Obvious thing on planet Earth, and I love Herbie. I've known him for a long time, but he's like, he goes, Nathaniel Hackett with number 8 all of a sudden looks like a pretty good offensive coordinator.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's not lost on anybody that was the plan here in Denver. That is why Nathaniel Hackett was hired. And the whole, Russell Wilson thing, as if that was the real plan, nobody's buying that. That was tried to be sold to us. I mean, they did the best they could with it because they were pot committed to going in some sort of direction, not the draft. But, we get what it was all about. No doubt about it. And it might have worked. Probably would have worked. Why? Well, because Aaron Rodgers, despite being quite the weasel turd and weird personality, he is one hell of a quarterback. Okay. He is
a great quarterback. And you know what? Like I don't agree with a majority of the things that he throws out into the universe regarding things that don't have to do with football, but he's a really interesting, thoughtful individual. Like you can disagree with 95% of his takes like I do, but he's a very deep thinker. He definitely channels his inner Butte College in Redding, California, which we both know is one of the weirdest places in the United States.
My son played a baseball. I was at Butte College, brother. I was there. And my son played a college baseball game, played in a JUCO, played for West Valley. and he played Butte. He did a weekend setup there. That is super strange. That place.
It's a different joint, man. It's a different joint.
It is weird ski.
Yeah, it's like, are you in California?
I feel like you're on the other side of the moon, man. There's like nothing. Like, I really was wondering, and they're good at college JUCO sports. And I was like, who do they get to come here? And their facilities are pretty nice, but it was just
it's a cool place, man. But like,
wow,
between Chico and Redding and Butte, if you feel like you're in Padawan or something, like it is a strange place.
I agree with you. All right, let's get some Broncos stuff and how Bo can beat the Bucs. Let's start with Joe Lombardi, and we're talking about 2 minutes and doing something with the ball.
It's a different element, but I think also it's the 2 minutes usually plays that Bo's got a lot of reps on. So I think just taking that lesson, I think when he's comfortable, he's going to play better, and so just make sure that the play that he's comfortable with what we're doing, and I think that's as much of it as anything.
All right. Well, clearly he's not comfortable with what you're doing. Bo Nix himself was all sort of, I don't know, man. He was all sorts of weird this week.
I think when you look at the experience, I think I've been fortunate, been able to play in a lot of different kinds of pockets. Some clean, some unclean. Sometimes I got to get on the move. Sometimes you got all day. It kind of depends on the situation. To be honest with you, each team I've played with has had all the above. So I think that moving forward, it's just playing what the defense gives you. Every once in a while you feel a clean pocket and you sit in there and you make a throw. Sometimes they bring an extra guy and you can't block them and you got to stand in there and still make a throw. Sometimes you got to escape. So it's the happy medium of the quarterback position. It's why elusive quarterbacks and guys on the move can hurt defenses if they use it properly.
Bo, you've on your picks, Cortland was in the area on I think all of them. Have you looked at that, and is it something where you're trying to force the ball to Cortland at all?
No.
I think Bo Nix already has a Denver media hit list. And I believe right now, I believe that DMac and Mike Kliss are 1A and 1B.
Wait a second. Why would I? Wait, why would?
Bo, can you take us through the interception in the end zone?
Drop back, do it to the other team.
Hey, man. You think? Actually, I did. Hey, dude, let me tell you, I did find out he actually really was bothered by that whole thing. I found that out for real. And that's an issue, man.
Do you know why he was bothered by it? Like,
I was told. Here's what I was told. It was. I gotta be a little careful here, but the fact that it did go viral, which is how ironic, because I told you, I go, well, watch tomorrow, right? I told you that, right? And it did, and it bugged him. It bugged him that kind of all that stuff. But I'll tell you this, bro. It's not people giving you free pizza slices up in Eugene anymore. Okay, you're in the real world, right?
No, and it's true.
And it's different.
And I think that Bo Nix understands what he signed up for. I hope he does. I really hope he does, because even being the offensive coordinator at small program like Utah State or like Western Kentucky, I talked to the quarterback as a quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, head coach, that you have to understand that people are coming after you, being the quarterback, the starting quarterback, and me, the head coach. Like, those are the two people that they're coming after, and they are looking, like the DMacs of the world and the Mike Klisses of the world are looking for you to stumble. Well, guess what? My personal opinion, in 2 weeks of this season, the regular season, the stuff that really counts, the off season, we all know that's all honeymoon phase, man. That's all, that's all rainbows and unicorns. And you're just farting out just, all the great smells of the world's potpourri.
You're the best. Yeah, no doubt.
But like, the regular season is where you're evaluated on, and everybody is looking for the opportunity to make you look like an idiot. And frankly, I think that Bo's looked like an idiot twice. Because I think that you need to have a thoughtful answer, realize that you do have a job, you're handsomely paid for it, just like Sean Payton is very handsomely paid for his role, and you have to be a professional. And so far, Sean, I think, has been a professional with the media. I think last year was an unmitigated disaster. That actually turned me on Sean. Sean's a guy that I I looked up to as a young coach, man. I worked with David Shaw. I always heard the stories. I followed the Saints offense. Like, he was a guy I looked for, like, I loved. And last year I fell out of love with Sean Payton. Now, being around the team this year in training camp, being at all the practices, being in, in post-game scrums with you, I've actually kind of started to like him again. But
I agree.
I think he's handled himself and acquitted himself well. But there have been times where, the carpet doesn't match the drapes. And I think the biggest instance of that was the post-game presser after the loss to Pittsburgh, namely the two big decisions that he made that were flawed. Like, you can't, there's no arguing that they're flawed. Like, I am a fired football coach. And if I would have been put in that situation and we lost the football game, I would have said, that's on me. That was a bad decision. And Sean didn't do that.
Yeah, and Bo hit us with the, hey, it's just a game and we're having fun and it's just – I'm like, dude, you're like 2 games into your NFL career and you're hitting us with like, it's just a game. Like, I get it. It's just a game, bro. We're here to talk to you about it. Like, this is what happens, man.
Right.
I get it. It's just a game. But if you really just want to just a game it, well, I don't know, give the money back and go work at Target, bro. I mean, there's other things to do in life.
That's almost like that. That almost kind of sounds a little bit like he's, and I'm not implying that he is, but it sounds like therapist talk. Like he's
Totally.
talking with a team psychologist or a personal psychologist. Like, that's fine. Like, that's okay to have in a one-on-one therapy session when you're processing this pressure, the enormity of what you've been dealt. But guess what, man? Like, you're paid a lot of money to do this job.
That's right.
And you need
That's
to have
right.
thoughtful answers or you're going to get scrutinized. You're going to get scrutinized for your play, and you're going to get scrutinized for your answers in press conferences.
And the bigger part of it than just trying to beat up on somebody is how are you going to handle adversity the further it comes? Because guess what, man? And like, I look at Prime and see you and this like, oh, it's a personal, it's a vendetta. And it's like, hey, man, okay, cool. I thought one of the better answers Sean Payton gave last year about rivalries was like, we got a lot of these games here, man. And you just can't get, maybe it's possible in college because there's just fewer games. Okay, I guess. But in the NFL, balance is ridiculously important. I've just covered the league way too many years. I've been lucky, Mike, to have covered Hall of Famers. Okay, the guys who are just at the top of the top. I was lucky enough to be around Peyton Manning basically every media day he was available for 4 straight years. Okay, I saw him as he dealt with difficult things. I've covered Jim Kelly and John Elway and Joe Flacco. Jim was awesome. Are you a fan of Jim Kelly's at all?
Strangely enough, I've always kind of been a guy that roots for the underdog. So if I do find myself in a weird position rooting hard for the Broncos to upset the Buccaneers and do something crazy. But, my dad was coaching at USC, one of the 3 Super Bowls that the Bills played in. And I was, 10, 11, 12, 13 years old. And I went to practice. My dad is, he's got, facility access. He's got the key card before there were key cards. He's got the actual silver key to get in the facility. He took me to practice and I fell in love with the Bills. And I rooted so hard for the Bills.
Oh.
I got a chance to meet Marv Levy. My dad and him had a great conversation. It was amazing. I'll never forget, like, he was coming out of the locker room and, he had his Star of David necklace on, like just a truly a remarkably authentic person. And I was like, I want to be a coach like that. And then, I had a chance to get Jim Kelly. I still have the autographs from 1991. Does that sound right? Would that have been
sure. Yeah.
Rose Bowl? Yeah, and I have the autographs of like Tasker and Andre Reed and
my guys
and Irvin and Smith, Jim Kelly, and they were all so great. It was like I felt a little bit like I was the recipient as a young kid of some type of charitable foundation that was getting me to go to those practices. It was amazing, man. And I'll never.
Can you believe that's how I started covering the NFL with those guys? Those were the guys.
And they were great dudes, man. They really were.
They were great dudes, no doubt about it. They're incredibly talented, but they were also they were all great dudes. Period. The end. They were intense though. The bickering Bills was a real thing.
Yep.
But the guy that was the true leader was Jim Kelly. This is why when we talked to Quinn Miners after the game, he goes, well, I'm going to lead by example as a captain. I'm kind of a quiet guy. And I'm like, All right, cool. But like, that's not leadership I saw from the best leaders that I've covered in 30 plus years. The best leaders I saw were quick to be able to get control of the situation vocally and get your attention. And I think Jim Kelly was, hey man, it's kind of weird when you start something like I'm 24, 25 years old, whatever I was. And like, I literally run into like the best guy I've ever seen do that part of things. And that's the first guy you're around all the time. So it's weird, but he was that guy. And I really haven't seen anybody be better. And I do not know how you could be a great leader without having a significant vocal sort of approach to things.
Yeah. If you look at the current captains of the Broncos, who is that guy?
Cortland Sutton.
I don't think so.
Will Lutz.
I think that Cortland Sutton's a great mouthpiece. I think he's a great interview. He's thoughtful. He's intellectual. His post-game interview in the locker room was, I thought, fantastic. But who's the guy that's gonna, when things are bad and things aren't good and people are like looking to somebody, is there anybody in that locker room that's gonna crawl in the collective asses of their teammates?
Well, DeMarcus Ware ain't there, and Peyton Manning ain't there. And Aqib Talib isn't around, although Aqib was a little quirky on stuff.
Yeah, sometimes quirky dudes, man. They're like,
hey, I'll tell you this about Aqib, man, and he is a finalist for the Hall of Fame. I don't know how that's going to go for him, but like, he wasn't shy about his opinion when things were going wrong. He would call things out. I mean, he wouldn't sit there like a while. And Surtain barely talks. You know that, right? Like, he's
I love Surtain. I'm a fan of Surtain. I like the way
he doesn't talk, man.
But I had never been in an NFL post-game locker room as a media member, and I went in there and I was like, "This is weird, man." Like, I'm a coach, I think. and I saw PS2. He walked right by me. He's coming out of the shower, so I'm not going to make any big sense. But like, I'm talking towel over the head, leaning down, like, stay away from me. And I understand that part of it, man. There's a lot of times where if you're not expected to give an interview, like, it is what it is. But, DMac, I learned a very valuable lesson at the 16 or so training camp practices that I went to this year from you.
Okay.
I went to every single training camp practice as a coach, and I brought my notepad. I brought my little, I labeled it as Chem 500 because I have a notepad that literally looks like I am a student at an Ivy League institution. And I charted practice and I watched everything. And that's all I did at practice.
Yeah.
And I looked over at you and you're working media, man. You get to know people. You find out a little something here.
Oh, yeah.
Working there. Yeah. You're kind of working the room. So about practice 10, I'm like, I'm going to try the DMac way, right?
Yeah.
And so what I learned, DMac, from my Muggle, acclamation, which I did do, is I talked to a couple people. I'm not going to name them by names, but I talked to a couple people in one conversation from a guy that really knows the National Football League, really understands the Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
He told me that there's one guy on that roster that will crawl in somebody else's ass when things aren't right.
Who?
Tim Patrick.
Well, they got rid of him.
Yep, not here.
I'm sorry, I didn't think of him because I was thinking about somebody who's currently on the team. Tim was brutally honest. There were guys over the years, pretty interesting, that weren't high draft picks, but were very vocal about stuff. Philip Lindsay was one of those guys.
Yep, 100%.
CJ Anderson was one of those guys. Sometimes the smaller, dudes that have to I think Nate Jackson, who was an undrafted guy, might have been, to a certain degree. I mean, you have to be a significant player. You have to be able to contribute to have influence there. But
I saw it from Nate tonight. We were on the CBS football blitz show, and he and I got into it about my belief that the Broncos should lean into at least 4 called quarterback-driven runs. And then he's like, "What? Do you want Bo Nix to be the quarterback in 2028, or do you want to be paraplegic?" I'm like, well, he's not going to be. Just ask Bryce Young. Bryce Young's not going to be the starting quarterback. He isn't. You are facing a ticking time. This is a pendulum that you have to get right now.
That's funny.
And I feel
so funny.
So,
all right, let's talk about that 2-minute stuff and like Bo Nix and how Bo can beat the Bucs. Let's stay a little bit optimistic here, and we'll be on Sunday night with Altitude After Dark.
Can you put that Joe Lombardi quote up again? Because I loved it.
Sure.
It's a different element, but I think also it's the 2 minutes usually plays that Bo's got a lot of reps on. So I think just taking that lesson, I think when he's comfortable, he's going to play better, and so just make sure that the play that he's comfortable with what we're doing. And I think that's as much of it as anything.
Okay.
Darren. I'm going to use my East Coast accent. Darren.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this quote, and I totally agree with it. Like, there's been times in my career as a coach where things aren't working, and I'm getting too, out there as a play caller. I'm dialing things up that I think are going to be wide open, but the quarterback has never repped these plays. Mm-hmm. And I've come to this realization that I need to rep the stuff that were install one, mm-hmm. Day one, install one. Day two, install two. That's the pass game that, frankly, is your 2-minute offense. Mm-hmm. And if you look at when Bo Nix has looked the best, you could say it's against prevent coverage. You could say it's, it's tempo, and Bo played it in Oregon. These are the plays that Bo repped the most in training camp. Mm-hmm. Again, through all situations. These are plays that were day one installed, and then you keep coming back to it throughout the course of training camp, OTAs, mini camp, and then you ran them in preseason. Those are the things that Bo feels comfortable with. And so I tweeted it out, and it sounded like I was being a jerk, but why not run those plays in the first quarter? Sure. Why not run the plays that he has the most high level of comfort with?
Sure.
And you could say, well, because the defenses are much more complex. Well, if they are more complex, then don't you want your quarterback to know what he's looking for and have an understanding of the timing, the feel, the read, the progression, and then his feet are synced in to where number 1 is, number 2 is, number 3 is, and he's done that ad nauseum? Yes. The answer is yes. And I've actually done that. Like, my dad was the head coach at UNLV, and our best offensive package was our 2-minute offense.
Okay.
Once again, highly rep plays. So I just went up to my dad in year 2, and we were struggling. I think we finished the year with 2 wins. And I said, Dad, should we just run 2-minute?
Early time.
And we did.
And
we moved the football. And is that the answer long-term? No.
Right.
But is that something that could be a spark, as Sean is always looking for? A spark like he promised all of us in the form of Jarrett Stidham? Maybe. Yeah. Maybe. I mean, because whatever's going on through 2 games, it's 2 out of 17. We're not 10 games into the season. I understand. I get that. But is there something to be said for finding every possible way to build the confidence of your quarterback? And he has looked good in 2 minutes in 2 straight games. He's looked good. He's matriculated the ball down the field. And I've liked what I've seen. So why not just rep those plays early on in a game of the plays that you have just, you've like Bo Nix has done them. And he has the timing with Cortland Sutton. He has the timing with Josh Reynolds.
Let's take some questions here. No other rookie quarterbacks being asked to throw the ball 42 times. What do you say to that?
Yeah. I have my theory about the 42 times in the first game and then 35 in the second. The 42 times in the first game is even actually more of an egregious number. When you take the QB scrambles, the sacks, and also the quarterback scrambles, it was 51 called pass plays in the Seattle Seahawks game. And I went through this past game and I watched the all 22 film, and I think it was 39 called pass plays. That's a lot.
Okay.
Why do I think that's the reality?
Why?
I think it's because Sean Payton is doubled down on proving this league wrong and proving himself right, that he's got the right guy. And I think that's clouded his judgment in trying to replicate Drew Brees, the guy that he had in his system. And frankly, DMac, I think that Sean Payton needs to do a whole hell of a lot less of making Bo learn the book of Sean, and he needs to look inward and learn the book of Bo and make sure that he's doing the things that young man is comfortable doing.
Should they then simply go to the Oregon style and just go there? Seriously, go to Bo.
Sprinkle it in, because you have 3 downs to get a first down, right?
Yep.
If you completely commit to it, I don't think Sean would be comfortable as a play caller. I've been there. Like just saying like, oh, I'm just going to reinvent the wheel with 3 days of real practice. It's hard. It's really hard. But I already saw the path forward, and I saw it in the empty formation, which Sean Payton is known for. He's got a great concept out of empty that is a staple of his offense. It's called stick Lucy. It was when everything was bad and we were sitting next to each other and we're just rolling our eyes. Second quarter, 7 minutes to go. That's when empty showed it. It showed up. And that's why I asked the question for Bo, because the offense at least got first downs.
All right.
And Bo looked comfortable. Like, yeah, a little pep in his step. Empty's a part of it. That was the entire Oregon offense, was either motioning from one back to empty or from empty to one back. And that's how they generated their run game.
Let's go
ahead.
to the creepiest question of the night. Hey, coach, you still driving that Honda?
I've never had a Honda.
Okay. See, I told you it was creepy.
I have a mini Bronco.
What's your prediction for this weekend?
My heart of hearts, my gut is telling me that this is going to be Miami 2023 part 2.
Oh, no. You think it's going to be that big of a blowout?
I do. No, not 70-20. Not 70-20, but I think that Baker Mayfield,
like a 42-10 or something like that.
I've watched Baker Mayfield's every film clip of his 2024 season.
Yeah.
And it's quarterback pornography. It's
impressive. Yeah.
It is really good. It is really
impressive.
Good. And his
ability to run is actually
very.
Listen, I've gone around and around with Nate on a million different topics. I completely agree with you. You've got to have 4 or 5 called plays for Bo Nix to run the ball. And I'll tell you who's going to do that, guaranteed, is the Bucs. Guarantee you.
Well,
and they're going to pick up yards on it.
He gets himself out. Baker Mayfield gets himself out of trouble a lot. Sometimes he gets himself into trouble. That's why he had 5 sacks a week ago. And when I watched it, like everybody talked about Aiden Hutchinson just dominating. Baker Mayfield's the guy that wants to create the second play, and he's really good at it. But sometimes you have to give up a couple sacks in order to find.
That's a weird stat there, because 3 of those 5 sacks were all in the first quarter,
right?
And they've got their right tackle was a backup dude who was getting no help, and so that's the first quarter. Now Hutchinson did get a couple sacks throughout the course of the game, but they just chipped Hutchinson, basically
make an adjustment.
Yeah, they did. And in fact, he was being blocked quite effectively by a tight end after, it was such a disaster against the right tackle. And listen, and one of the sacks was like he swiped his hand and it caught like Baker's foot. Like he kind of just barely brushed him and it just tripped him a little bit. It's not like he was getting wasted on anything.
Almost a little bit like Bo Nix's the sack that JJ Watt had. I love the tweet that went viral that Bo Nix just got sacked by the aura of TJ. That's great.
I didn't see that. That's good.
It was fantastic.
That's funny.
So DMac, when I talk about this 2023 trip to South Florida 2.0, there is a bit of a caveat because Vita Vea looks like he's not going to be playing. He has not practiced all week.
Correct.
The other guy, Antoine Winfield, is not. It doesn't look like he's going to play. Didn't practice all week. The absence of those 2 players, those guys are Pro Bowlers. They're all pro players. They're like the best, like truly the best at their position. If they don't play, I think that the Broncos will be able to move the football. If the Broncos were playing the best of the Bucs, I think this would definitely be Dolphins 2.0.
All right, give me a score.
34-10.
I was going to go 31-13. So we're in the hey, listen, in the NFL, man, if you get beyond 3 scores, it's a blowout. I mean, 3 possessions, 2 score, right? Yeah. So anything, in my opinion, over 17 points, to me in the NFL is basically a blowout. So it's just different in college, but in the NFL, because it's just so much harder to score and the games are all so close. Look at all the 1-score games that are around, and look at this year in particular, where there's less scoring than there has been in a long, long time. Losing by 17, 18 points, 19 points, that is a blowout in the NFL. That is.
It's wild to think that you, me, and Vic were sitting up on press row And that game on Sunday this past week felt like an absolute ass whipping. Did it not?
Did.
What was it?
One score game. You know, it's funny because at one point I did turn to you and I go, yeah, no, they're only down 13. You know, it's like, right? Like I get it, but you know, it is just 13-0, Mike. You know, it's not that bad. And well, I mean, you know,
DMac,
that turned out to be the case.
Do you think that this Greenbrier road trip with canoe trips, and do you think that this is Pickett's last brigade, Custer's last stand? Pickett, like, is this for this season?
Mike, when they're up on a rope bridge after they've done their trust falls, before the s'mores are cooked by the fireside, I think they're going to get a true test of exactly who they are. And you know what? They're going to look at each other and, like Bo Nix said, it's just a game and it's not that serious. And, you know, it doesn't matter. And everybody makes mistakes. And it's like, oh, okay. Then give me back all your money. Then go live in a van down by a river instead of a mansion in Castle Pines.
I think that's Bo's defense mechanism because I truly believe that he
Game 2, Mike. He's hitting with us. It's just a game in game 2.
I know it was bad. It felt like he was on a couch talking to his drink. But I do think that's a defense mechanism because I know from guys that I've coached with that have gone on to coach at Oregon. I also know coaches from Auburn. There's probably not a quarterback in the NFL that's a rookie that gives a bigger shit than Bo Nix does.
Okay.
So I think that is a little bit of him talking to himself to not crush himself as opposed to telling the media it's just a game. But with that being said, who is going to be the best pairing on a canoe at Greenbrier Resort in West Virginia on this Broncos roster? I have my pick.
All right, I got to think of best pair. What are we trying to accomplish on that canoe? Are we racing on the canoe or are we just hanging out? We just getting along?
Think about very demure, very thoughtful conversation from different backgrounds. You know, the cross-pollination of society on a canoe in Greenbrier, West Virginia. Who's
what? I don't know who that is, but you know who I want to just see get in a fight? I just put Bowles and McGlinchey in the same canoe and just wish them best of luck.
Well, then we already know that Bowles right now, he's already wounded. He's almost like Rocky Balboa in the 13th round. He'd probably be out for the rest of the year.
You know what? Real quick, if you put Bowles and McGlinchey, they may get along because they're just going to talk shit about Quinn Miners being the captain. That might actually work out.
Have you seen that guy's gut? It's gross, man. And that guy's hair, like, what does he have, like dreadlocks?
Who, Quinn Miners?
No, I'm saying that would be the conversation between
both.
Right. Just talking all the mess about Miners.
Right.
My perfect pairing, New Orleans Saints, castaway / Peyton's favorite, Malcolm Roach.
All right. We got a couple of those castaways, but go ahead. And Malcolm Roach and
paired with Zen Loving. Okay, let me give him a little free promo to Zen. Okay. Zen Loving, starting Caucasian cornerback Riley Moss. And they're just going to have a blast, and they're going to have great conversations. And they're going to realize after that amazing canoe ride together in the Appalachian Mountains that you know what, we come from different backgrounds, but
so what?
And we're a lot more similar than you would ever imagine.
Sure.
We have a lot more commonalities than you would have thought.
Let's turn to college football because this interaction, I mean, is hard to top.
Coach, with potential rain in the forecast for Saturday.
We got rain? What forecast you got?
Just changed this morning.
Oh, let me see. It ain't say rain on mine.
Check it out, Coach.
Who do you use? Straight up.
I just saw it from a local meteorologist this morning.
Yeah, there you go.
A meteorologist?
I got 5169. This joke has been accurate. Anybody else got? Read yours.
Either way, let's just say there is rain on that.
No,
either way.
Don't say there is rain.
No.
I'm a good weather man. When you say 60%, I say 40% chance.
A meteorologist that I respect highly said that there's a pretty good chance it rains on Saturday.
Mine says 30%.
Okay.
Oh.
I don't know which one I got. I need to check mine. Rain does not.
I was just going to ask if you do wet ball drills or anything different to prepare for that.
Yeah, with rain, 30% is 30-70% it won't.
Okay.
Oh, that is so great. What do you got? I'm going to show you what I got too. What do you got? Wait, hold on. Okay. All right. I'll show. All right. You're square. Oh man, I'm right there with you, dude. Check it out.
The most beautiful thing about all this.
I don't see any rain. Do you see any rain in there, brother? You see any rain there?
I might see a little rain. I don't see no rain.
I don't see rain. I mean, there's not rain there.
The best part about all of this, there's certain leaders in the world and in different, vocations that they shit gold. Coach Prime is one of the leaders that shits gold. I'm not a shit gold leader. It's not raining. It's
not going to rain. And I don't care.
Raining.
Look at our guy, Chris Bianchi.
Now, the weather is in question for this game. And Coach Prime, he was concerned maybe about the rain. He's saying, it's not going to be a big deal. But
well, he's trying to put the cap on right now. So Chris Bianchi, he's got the actual cowboy hat on this morning, the shades. Chris, what say you?
So Coach Prime did something that a lot of us do, and he looked at his weather app first. And I totally understand that. It's kind of easy. It's the easy solution. You look down at your phone, and there's some issues with weather forecasts on the app. We've talked about that before. The point being, I think Coach Prime, we're talking about rain for Saturday and Saturday.
I don't know, man. I don't see rain, man. I do not see it, brother. I see 25%, man, right there on my bad boy.
34 minutes ago, Chris Bianchi, he may end up being a National Football League first ballot Hall of Fame defensive back because he is backpedaling like right now. So he just dropped 34 minutes ago. For what it's worth, I think the model average is a bit high, and 0.5 to 1 inch seems most likely.
Wow.
1 inch plus still on the table, hence the current NBM. Did you ever do some background on whatever weather service that Coach Prime did cite as his service? Because I'm moving on to that service.
Well, dude, I just got the Steve Jobs. I don't know. I got an iPhone. I assume that. You think Prime's got something better than an iPhone? I don't know. It's just the weather thing that comes on the stupid iPhone.
He said like 5159 or 6159. I've been searching. I've been searching long and hard to find Coach Prime's weather forecast module because apparently it's pretty damn good. Bianchi's been my guy since I moved to Colorado.
Yeah.
And he's pretty damn good. Yeah, but just like anything else, man, sometimes the harder you work on something and the more you put your neck on the line, it's the old common, it's just the law of averages that you're going to be wrong on that one time. And I think Bianchi, it's a beautiful night at Folsom Field.
Yeah. Well, game's at 6:00. Who you got in this one?
I love Baylor. I think their offense is terrible. I think that Dave Aranda is the best college defensive mind. He is the guy that
they destroyed Air Force, man. Yeah. I mean, I know Air Force might not have one of their better teams, but to destroy Air Force, that's a trick, bro.
His combination, he's one of those defensive coordinators. Have you ever heard a Dave Aranda interview before?
No.
This guy is Yoda. Like he is Yoda. He's very calm. He's very thoughtful. He's a high level intellect. My dad coached with him at Utah State back in 2012. The guy is bright. I coached against him when he was the D coordinator at LSU. He's fantastic. I think he's going to have a crazy plan for CU.
Okay.
And I think that CU's offense, even in the Colorado State game, I think it was there for the taking to like really boat race that team.
Sure, I did too.
And they just kind of didn't. And I have my questions. Like I think that the talent, I don't have my questions about the perimeter talent, Shedeur Sanders talent, but I got my question about 3 games in. And the bottom line is you played 2 bad teams. You played an FCS team that is not going to win the national championship in the FCS. And you played a CSU team that has so many problems. And you're not really lighting the scoreboard on fire. And I think this is your first Big 12 test. And I think it comes in the worst form, which is a really good defense and a really smart defensive mind. And Dave Aranda has taken back over the defensive play calling from the last couple seasons. That defense is real.
All right, brother. We both have the Bucs winning. We both have the Buffs losing. I
never said the Buffs are losing.
Oh,
classic football game.
Who you got winning or losing?
Classic football game. Because you got to remember, there's a lot of times in life you can think about, I just want toast, but you can never forget who's buttering your bread.
Okay. All right, Mike. Okay. Jeez, really? Seriously? I mean, kumbaya. I feel like I'm talking to Bo Nix on a canoe. We'll get into it Sunday night. We'll know it all on Sunday night. We'll be geniuses on Sunday night.
Who butters your bread? Who butters your bread, DMac?
I butter my own damn bread.
Who provides your benefits for your family?
Me. I provide the benefits for my family.
Pretty sure that a gentleman named Stan provides those benefits.
Stan's a great dude. Do not get me wrong.
Because he butters your bread. Because even if you didn't think Stan was a great dude, you'd still realize that he butters your bread.
You don't see me selling beef jerky on US 40 outside of Empire up Berthoud Pass on the weekends, bro. You don't know.
Sounds like a great gig.
You don't see me on the top of Fremont Pass headed to Leadville when I'm up there with my jerky. All right, I gotta go. We'll talk to you on Sunday. Tomorrow you are what of your 9 jobs are you doing tomorrow? What are you doing tomorrow?
Pretty light day, man. 7 to 10 with just me and Brett Kane, who
doing mornings. Okay.
Yeah, doing the morning show, who I think is the only talented radio personality at KSE on Altitude 92.5. So I'm looking forward to it.
All right, we'll talk to you later.